I think the last 4 days, and I've been to Iowa and Minnesota and now Wisconsin, and then I guess later today I'm headed back to Washington because I have to teach tomorrow. But I want to thank Ryan for that introduction, and so anyway, my husband and I are really happy. But most of all, I'm here because I want to thank you. I want to thank you for all that you are doing for our campaign. And you know, as I've been traveling the last 4 days, I've really seen so much energy and enthusiasm in rooms just like this, because people are getting fired up. I mean, we're in the last 15 days, so people, you know, this is a clear choice in this election. And as I travel around and I talk to people, and I hear their views about this election, you know, everyone is saying to me, you know, this is about our lives. Yeah. You know, this is about the direction of our country. Yeah. And really, it's no different for me. Even if Joe weren't involved in this campaign and running as vice president, I would still be involved because of the clear choices that we have. Mm-hmm. And I'm a full-time teacher. I know there must be teachers in here because I heard it. So thank you for coming out and supporting me. I'd love to see teachers in the crowd. And teaching, as you know, teaching isn't just what I do, it's who I am. Okay. And when I approached my role as Second Lady, I knew that teaching would be a part of it because it's my passion, just like I'm sure it's your passion. And so I teach English at a community college in Northern Virginia. And as I said, I'll be there tomorrow. I have my papers in the car to grade, and, you know, I was there last Thursday giving midterm conferences, so anyway, it's a big part of my life. But it's because of my students and because they inspire me. And so that's why I'm involved in this election, because as a teacher, I want to make sure that we continue to invest in quality education. And President Barack Obama and my husband are moving us forward on that issue. Already done in terms of education. We've doubled the funding for Pell Grants for any of you who have children going to school or you're going to school yourself. We've reformed the student loan process to make it easier to pay back the loan. We've raised the standard in the public schools, and that's so important. I know I was a public school, high school teacher for 13 years. And we've also made community colleges a cornerstone of our education policy. Yeah. I'm also a military mom. I'm sure there are many military families in this crowd, yes? Yeah. So our son, Bo, who was here in Wisconsin, I think 2 weeks ago, he's with the Delaware Army National Guard. And he was deployed to Iraq for a year. He actually left a month before we were elected in 2008. So you can imagine that as a military mom, when we got elected, my one wish, my strongest wish, was that the president would end this war in Iraq, and he did that. He kept his promise, and he ended the war. He also brought Osama bin Laden to justice, and now we're going to end that war in Afghanistan by 2014. You know, I know how much military families love this country and really how much they've sacrificed for all of us, to protect all of us. So as a military mom, I want to make sure that our veterans and their families get the benefits they've earned and the respect that they deserve. Yeah. So Barack and Joe have moved this country forward as it concerns military families and our veterans. Think of the things that they've done. They've expanded the GI Bill for education for our veterans. Yeah. They've given tax credits to businesses who hire veterans, and they've supported military families and their caregivers in real ways. And I've seen that as I've gone up to the Walter Reed to see our wounded warriors and how much care they're going to need, really, not just now, but years to come, years to come. So I'm also involved in this election, and I see many, many women here, and I'm involved as a woman who really cares about the direction our country is going to take. Stand up for our rights and our freedoms every day. You know, the first bill that Barack signed was the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act. They fought so hard for us. You know, one of the things that they did was to make sure that insurance companies will no longer be able to charge women than they charge men. They've made sure that they can't charge a copay for basic preventative care like mammograms, prenatal care. And our children, and there's some young people in here, you can stay on your parents' insurance until you're 26 years old. That's a big deal. And of course you know that they can't deny you because of a pre-existing condition. How important it is for women to be able to make our own decisions about our own health care. So for many women of my generation, I mean, remember fighting for Roe v. Wade, access to contraception, and equal rights. I'm sure some of you remember those years. So we want to make sure that our granddaughters and our daughters don't have to go back and fight those battles that we fought so many decades ago. And you have to remember about the Supreme Court and how that would change, right? With more conservatives on the Supreme Court. So you really have to think about how Barack and Joe have moved this country forward and some of the things that have occurred the last 4 years. And forward means that after the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, we've seen 31 straight months of private sector job growth. We've seen exports and manufacturing on the rise, and the employment rate is going down. Forward means that an auto industry on the verge of collapse is back up on its feet, and like Ryan said, don't ask, don't tell is history. But you know, forward means that we all have to work, every single one of us. We just have 15 more days. I'm sure we're all thankful for that. Some of you have already voted because today is your first chance to get out there and do the early vote. So now we're going to ask you that, you know, now that you've voted or you're going to vote today, to go to your neighbors and your friends and people in your churches and your schools and your exercise groups and your book groups and get everyone out there to vote, everyone, because these last few days are critical. You know that. You're hearing it on the news. You hear that this country is going to go in one direction or the other. It's night and day. So really, it's not me, it's not Michelle, it's not Barack, it's not Joe. We're not the ones. It's you are the ones who are going to move this country forward. We're counting on you because we are going to win on November 6th, and you're going to